Welcome to another episode of Success in the Field, where we explore the world of field service and highlight best practices for achieving success. In this edition, we're speaking to Aaron McLeish, Managing Director of Together We Count. He has hands-on experience working with large plumbing and heating businesses as a finance director, and now helps a range of plumbing and heating companies improve their financial controls, as well as helping them convert more sales. He's written a book, the Quote Handbook, which helps businesses improve the way they approach writing quotes and selling their services. Let's find out how field service businesses can improve their operations by focusing on streamlining their sales. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Yeah, certainly. So first of all, thanks for inviting me along, Jason. My name's Aaron McLeish. I'm the sole director of Together We Count. We're an accountancy firm based up in Sheffield, but we're a little bit different. We're different in the sense of we're a specialist accountancy firm because we predominantly look after plumbing and heating businesses, plumbing and heating installation businesses, to be more precise, if you like. So my work history started off after finishing my A-levels and doing an apprenticeship in accountancy and working for like large accountancy practices, then qualifying. But what I was like learning, if you like, I was looking after a magnitude of loads of different businesses, all in different sectors. I then moved out of like general accountancy and moved into industry. And the first job I had was actually working for a multi-million-pound plumbing and heating business. Plumbing, heating and renewables business, and I was their finance director. I looked after every penny which came in and every penny which came out. More pennies came in than out, which is the ideal business scenario, if you like. Fast forward 10 years, if you like, and this is where I am today.
Yeah, amazing. What's out of interest? So obviously your company now specializes in a niche, plumbing, heating, specifically installation, which I think is interesting. Was that just because you got really good at understanding that business type when you were working as that finance director, and then sort of continue doing that with other businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So my experience from being a finance director for a multi-million-pound plumbing and heating business gave me exposure into the industry. I could see what it took to drive such a machine every day, all like having 50 engineers, like 10 office staff, 40 vans on the road. That's a big machine to operate, if you like, with loads of different cogs. So I saw all the different cogs that go into this big machine to make it run, to make sure the engineers are on their right jobs, to making sure that they've got the right CRM software, the right software to get them to their jobs. I saw everything from like managing cash flow, quoting jobs, how they quoted jobs, even quoted people for like routine services, managing staff, sacking staff, dealing with recruitment agencies, like you name it. I have had exposure into every element of a plumbing and heating business.
Yeah, that's quite impressive as well, because at the end of the day, there are lots of generic accounting firms out there. There's thousands of them. You go online, Google them, you can find them. But actually, to find someone with that level of experience does mean that if you're bringing someone into your business like that, they're going to know what they're talking about from day one. It's going to get them, to where they need to be faster because of that experience. And I think that's quite interesting. It brings me nicely on to the fact that you've written a book, right? You've written a book on how to quote, and you mentioned just then that you've watched these businesses quote. You specialize in plumbing, heating, gas installation companies. Specifically said installation companies there. Part of doing installation is quoting for work. So why don't you tell me a little bit about sort of what inspired you to write that book in the first place, and what was the journey from going from nothing to a book that's published that I have even read now.
Now the reason for writing the book was frustration. So by looking after like loads of different plumbing and heating businesses, I found that every plumbing and heating business was writing their quote in the same way, i.e. that they'll go to the job and then go into their accounting software. It could be Xero, it could be QuickBooks, it could be Microsoft Word. And what they'll put on their quote is, we will install this boiler, we'll then install this rad, we'll then install this pump or this filter or whatever. Do you know what screamed out to me? Boring. boring, same old message being repeated and churned out time and time again, and expecting the same results. Customers don't like. Obviously, it's good to know. Like, customers want to know what you are going to deliver, but that's a feature. People don't buy features. People buy benefits. What's the benefit of you installing a pump? Of you installing a MagnaClean? You need. So the reason why I wrote the book is purely out of frustration, and people do not have a clue how to write a decent quote, which will then convert into a sales invoice, which will then drop off into money into their bank account. There's a sales cycle in business. It starts off with marketing. You have to gain a bit of interest. You have to get your name out there. So once your name's out there, if someone's boiler breaks down, or if they need a routine service, they'll remember you. They'll then give you a call. So all the marketing, all that's for a plumbing and heating business is to get someone to give you a call. Once someone gives you a call, you then enter the sales side of the whole transaction, if you like. So you then have to send a surveyor to let's say that it's to replace a boiler. You then have to send a surveyor to scope out the work, ask loads of questions, find out what the customer wants, what their needs are, and then after that, the surveyor then writes up their findings into a quote. So basically, and then after the quote's been accepted, you then like do the job. You then raise the invoice, then you get money in the bank. So the quote side of the sales cycle, if you like, or the customer journey, is bang smack in the middle of the whole customer journey. And now a customer can fall off at any point in time of this journey. Meaning, when I say fall off, I mean they can say no, I'm not interested. So you sort of like gather the interest. That's the marketing stage. They'll ring them up, answer the telephone. If you read on the telephone, or you don't then go through to the next stage, all your marketing efforts have stopped there. You can't go forward. So every stage you need to push a customer along a different stage of the sales cycle. So the quote is another stage of the sales cycle. And if you look in all quotes, well, my experience of quotes is that they're poor, terrible, boring, don't get across the message, don't offer people options, rewards, upsells, cross sells. It's just literally just a piece of paper that says we'll do this and here's a price at the end.
Do you know what I found really interesting? Because as I said, I read your book, and I found two things interesting. And this is just my personal experience with field service sales, plumbing, heating, fire security, whatever the field service is. Obviously, I've worked with a load of different companies, but if we're talking about particularly plumbing and heating, everyone and this is something that's bugged me for a while. Everyone says we're quoting or we're estimating. Actually, you're selling. The quote or the estimate is just the document. That's just one piece of the sales cycle. Just like you said, marketing turns into inquiry, turns into survey, turns into, the document being produced. But I would argue that's the least important piece of the whole thing. And one of the things you say in your book is that asking the right questions on site is vital. Yeah, there's 5 inches of pipe that needed, and you need to convert the gas mains into a 22 or whatever it's going to be. You want to move the boiler, you don't want to move the system to combi swap. The fact is, if that's all you gather from site, like what physically needs to be done, the document and the after you send that document, and I tell our salespeople here, the deal is won after you've sent the proposal. It's never beforehand, and it's never at the proposal stage. It's what you do afterwards that matters. You can't customize that experience if you haven't asked someone, so how is it affecting you, right, that you haven't got hot water? I appreciate that, you want to have a shower, but are you having to go, and I think you use this exact thing, right? Are you going to the gym every morning to have a shower? What's been happening? Oh, you've got 2 kids. That's got to be, that's got to be impacting you. How is it impacting you? Because then you can customize your responses back. You can actually personalize it in a way that's going to convince someone to go, yeah, this is the company. They've listened to me, not just what I want, but they've genuinely listened to my problem and are proposing a solution to that problem, not just saying, combi swap, it's going to be a Worcester. Worcester's a great model, 9 years, 10 years, 12 years, 95 years of warranty. I mean, let's face it now, that isn't something we can compete on, right? Once upon a time, we were competing on warranties. We're not competing on warranties anymore. So what else are you competing on? And I think that's a super interesting point in that book. I don't know if you've had any experience with, people in the past where you've introduced this and it's had a bit profound impact, or any kind of story around that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, it's all sort of all my work's private and confidential. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
I've sold. I mean, the idea didn't just. It's not my idea. Like I need to be completely honest, but I've just taken teachings, if you like, from other industries, but applied it to the plumbing and heating industry, because I feel that the plumbing and heating industry and a lot of the field service industries actually are lacking in how they present and portray themselves, or even like communicating their worth to the customers. Like, I mean, like going back to like drilling down on the customers, you need to get the customers' pain points. You need to ask questions and get that out of the customer, because by getting the pain points, you can then alleviate the pain. And the way you alleviate the pain is to fix their problem. It's as simple as that. So you need to build up the pressure to then release the pressure. Yeah, and that, hopefully that message like came across in the book, which you've interpreted it perfectly. So yeah, so I'm glad the message got out then. Yeah.
I think one of the things for me personally is that, and it kind of tells us a lot about the industry itself, is the fact we call them surveyors. The fact we call them estimates in quotes, it kind of feels very final. It feels very like, well, this is a technical person. They're not a salesperson, so they're not going to be able to ask these questions. We can't train them to ask these questions. We can't train them to sell. They're there to gather information. And I think for me personally, this is where the industry needs to change. We need to be educating these people on, I'm not asking you to be like boiler room salespeople ringing a bell at the end of the day when you make a sale, but actually, it's consultative sales. It's asking, as you said, those right questions. And they're not just taking that and ignoring it, but actually using it to sculpt a good document, whatever you want to call it. Are you quoting? Are you estimating? I like to call them proposals. That's my personal preference. And sending it. But actually, what happens afterwards? Okay, sent it. Great. What are you doing now? I'm just waiting for a response. I'm hoping for a response. And I think that's also part and parcel of the problem. We don't treat this as a sales cycle. Field service, plumbing, heating companies don't treat this like a sales cycle with salespeople guiding the customer. And that's all they're doing. They're there to guide the customer. They treat it like surveyor, send quote, hope. Surveyor, send quote, hope. And good businesses, they do maybe some chasing, a little bit of chasing, but it tends to be, hey, did you get the quote? What do you think? When are we going to get a signature? And that's kind of it. And I think you're perfectly right. I see a lot of the things that you were saying in the book with our own sales team. I see some of the things that we teach them when we have training sessions and coaching sessions here. Same stuff. This is all just basically sales. Ask the right questions, reiterate pain points, come back to pain points afterwards in the follow-up after the document have been sent. Talk about those pain points again, bring them back to the forefront of that person's mind, thinking. And I think that's why it resonated so well. And I think if anyone's wants to improve and actually introduce sales into their business, is a really good place to start.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
You need to add systems. You need to add sales systems to your business. So like you said you can't teach a technician to be a surveyor. Because a technician, all in their head, all they want to do is go out, get their hands dirty and fix things, right? So, which is a very different mindset to a surveyor who needs to establish what the problem is. Like I said, to pull out the pain points, to get rid of the pain, if you like. Now, what you can do to a technician who's very good on the tools, who's very good at fixing things, is give him a set procedure and a set process to follow. And then all that will be is a standard set of questions. And what you'll find over time is that you can add to the questions or you can tweak the questions. So when you say you can't teach a technician to be a surveyor, no, but what you can do is you can give them a system to follow, which is bulletproof, and they can't deviate it from it. And that system will be tried and tested over hundreds, thousands, whatever, loads of different times, which is constantly tweaked and improved.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that kind of makes sense to me is this idea, you mentioned it earlier, cross-selling. If you're on site and you're there for a service or a breakdown, how well is that technician on site, that engineer on site that's fixing that problem, cross-selling or giving the option for other things. Now, I know some of our clients, they'll have recommendations. At the end of a job, they'll finish a job and they'll say, here's some recommendations for the work, for further works. That's a good step, but I would love to see more businesses, as you said, systemize that, but also have a genuine follow-up, turn that into more of an opportunity to make a sale there, rather than it's just a recommendation and, that we've sent it to them and that's all that matters.
Definitely. And do you know what? Businesses that do that, i.e. recommend something at the end of an installation, if you like, what you're naturally getting is a repeat customer. There's so much churn. In the plumbing and heating industry. Right, go to someone, right, do a routine service, see you later. Right, go to someone, do a breakdown, see you later. All the marketing effort which you've done to get someone to ring you, and then they've rang you, but then you don't sort of like nurture that relationship. You don't keep that relationship going. Now, a lot of field service businesses might be seasonal. So a lot of things. So one of the things which I sort of like communicate to my clients is what you're going to do in the summer months where there's no breakdowns, there's less boiler installations. And Jason, what you've just said there by having a recommended list, if you like, that's an ideal situation to fill all the quiet summer months, if you want. Go through all the recommendations which you've done previously that the customer hasn't accepted, hasn't gone with. Get on the phones, get on your sales team and do it. Be proactive. And do you know what? If you get on the phone and ring someone or send them an email, what happens? You spring to the front of their mind. So that they might not go for your recommendations, but next week they've got a leaking tap or they want to have an outside tap fitting. Guess who springs to their mind? You, because you're at the front of their mind because you've just because you've just been in touch with them.
You know what? You're completely right. I do wonder how many businesses don't have the people or the system or the process to do that. I mean, even if December you sent the recommendation for, you had a breakdown, middle of December, pretty typical. You recommend that they need to replace the boiler. You might recommend they need to install a MagnaClean because actually, that was causing the problem for the breakdown in the first place. Whatever it is, they don't go for it. No problem. There's a long, people don't buy something the moment that is recommended to them. We know that from our business that, half of the people that come to us have read our content, have looked at our videos, and then 6 months later have the right kind of problem to then potentially choose and look at our product. It's the same for this. This is no different. We all buy things in pretty, similar ways. We do a lot of research, we hum and ha, and when we're really ready and the pain is, there's significant reason to change, we change. And I think if you've done a load of recommendations and they haven't bought, don't just sweep them to one side. As you said, that's where salespeople, and that's where we need to start thinking of selling, sales. It's not a dirty word. Selling in plumbing and heating, in field service is going to be so vital because, as you just said, call them up. Hey, Mr. Smith, we actually made this recommendation. You had this problem. It's going to happen again. These were the problems you had. You weren't able to get hot water for 3 days. That was obviously a problem. You don't want to have that happening again this winter. Maybe it's time to have that. And you know what? Your service is due in a month's time. If we do the two together, we give you 30 quid off the service. How does that sound? There's ways of which you can fill those summer months. And you mentioned something earlier, which I think is so spot on. We speak to so many businesses that call us up and say, we only do installations, no service work. So I'm like, so every boiler that you install that has this 10-year warranty, 7-year warranty, whatever it is, that requires a service every year, and you tell me that you do 300 of these a year, you don't service at all. So, I mean, at least in London, but I mean, obviously different parts of the country is going to have different prices for servicing. I know one of our clients services my boiler, it costs 100 quid. Okay. And I know they vary. Look, I'm in central London, it'd be different for different places. Totally get it. If you're doing 300 boilers and it's 100 quid a go, that's a fair amount of revenue you're leaving on the table for nothing. And as you said, you have no relationship with that customer ever again. So there is no way they're going to think of you if all you're doing is installing. So I think, again, really starting to educate these businesses and thinking, don't be just one-sided. Start thinking about selling. It's important.
Jason, do you know what? People are like, I've always done it this way and it's worked. Why do I need to do anything different? Why do I need to change? Look at me, I'm doing all right. that mindset it will be the downfall of a lot of people. If a lot of things are changing around you, but you're staying the same, what you're doing becomes irrelevant. Yeah. So basically, like, I don't know, like whoever's listening to this or whoever's like watching this, don't be rigid. Don't be scared. Like test things, tweak things, try it out. I mean, going back to what Jason said, installing 300 boilers, £100 each, like for a service, that's £30,000. Now that's a wage for a gas engineer. But obviously, it won't take 300 days, if you like, or to do all those services. So what you've done, you've hired an engineer, but you've also got half of his capacity in a week to then earn you other money. So what you're doing is you're leaving money on the table. So your money is going to your competitors. But on the flip side, the powerful thing about a service is it comes every year. So you need to think about the lifetime value of a client. It's not just £100 service. It's maybe £1,000 over the course of 9 years, 10 years, or whatever. Obviously, you have to discount it or whatever. But you can turn that into monthly recurring income. A lot of businesses should subscribe to the subscription-based model. I mean, like even paying Commusoft, you pay it on a monthly basis. So Commusoft have got a monthly income coming in. Having that predictability, that revenue, that recurring money which comes in, enables a business to grow in harmony, to know what's coming in this month. Therefore, they know what they can spend to go out. And obviously, the bit remaining is for growth, for profit, to go to Ibiza. Do you know what I mean? It's that type of thing. So you're leaving money on the table by not giving all of the services and all the different, and letting customers know what you can and can't do.
Now, we talked a little bit about earlier, and you did mention this, and I think I want to come back to it because I think it's quite important. You talked about a lot about the quality of the document, the quality of the estimate, the quote. As I said, I like to call them proposals, and having options, right? And one of the things that I've learned personally with working with businesses in the US, we opened an office in the US, so we've, dealing with clients in the US now, is they are definitely more sales focused. And I think we all know that. If you've ever been to the US, you know that, whether you turn up to a restaurant or whether you turn up to Levi's to buy jeans, there's a salesperson there trying to get you to sell. It's actually the same with field service. Their technicians are salespeople. They're trained and incentivized to be salespeople. And I think one of the things that, for me, it has always been interesting is this idea of good, better, and best, right? Here's a good option. It'll solve your problem. But here's a better option, and here is the best option. And you talked quite a bit in your book about this. And I think what I found the most interesting and actually quite enlightening was I always assumed these options were there because, you've got, a cheap option. You've got, this comes with a few bells and whistles, and this comes with all the bells and the whistles, and you choose. But actually what you mentioned in the book was that we all buy things at different levels. We all see value in different things. Some people like spending lots of money on holidays. Some people like spending lots of money on clothes. Some people like spending lots of money on their home, right? And if you are only offering one option, that's limiting you. So do you want to just talk a little bit about that? Obviously, I don't want to sort of give it all away because it was your book and it would be better in your words, but do you want to talk a little bit about what you've seen and kind of why you think that can be so powerful?
What I teach in my book is that there's three types of shoppers in this world. So you've got the premium shopper. They like the finer things in life. They shop at Waitrose, Flying BA. Money isn't an issue. You then got the other end of the scale where you've got the value shopper, where all they want is a cheap price. They don't care about the service, the brand, the reputation. Literally, just give me a cheap price. But then you've got someone in the middle, which you call the standard shopper. Now, don't get me wrong. The standard shopper is the majority of shoppers. But the thing is, the way you gear up your plumbing and heating business or any field service business will be talking to a particular customer in mind. Now, Pimlico, they're probably not high end. They probably go for the premium shopper. You probably got cheaper boiler installation firms that will go for the value shopper. So all their marketing is geared towards a particular kind of shopper. And now the same comes to like a plumbing and heating business, when they sort of like presenting their quote, they should present their quote over the three different shoppers: the value, the standard, and the premium. Now, if you're say like a standard plumbing and heating business, and you go to survey a job and you give them one price, let's call it £2,000 for a combi in, combi out. Now that £2,000, the likelihood that that's the exact price which a customer is going to pay is zero. So a customer might have paid more. They might have paid you £2,500, but they've bought at £2,000, in which case you've left £500 on the table. Alternatively, they could be a value shopper and they're only looking to spend £1,500, in which case they haven't bought from you. So you've lost that sale. So my point, which I express and give you the tools to go away and execute in your business, is to give a customer three different price points: bronze, silver, gold, value, standard, premium. And what, by doing that, you're hedging your bets. Yeah, you're not leaving money you're not leaving money on the table. Your quote conversion rates will instantly increase because the person who was a value, but because you've offered someone a value price and a premium price as well. So instantly, like your sales will start converting more, which means more money in your pocket, less money in your competitor's pocket, all because you've taken the initiative and you've changed. You've done something new. You've tweaked your business. So yeah, that's the main premise of the book. I mean, the book's quite big. It's 160 pages, but I sort of have to get like a lot of the theory and a lot of the background foundation information across, so that ultimately you can present a good, better, best strategy.
You know, I also find this, that, and I subscribe to a podcast online. A guy, it's predominantly for software as a service, in fairness, but it actually applies. It's a company called Price Intelligently, and what they do and what their specialty is understanding price. Okay, what you should charge and what you shouldn't charge. And one of the takeaways from something that I watched or listened to from them was this idea of price benchmarking. So even if you're a standard shopper, okay, and you give them the option for a cheap, a middle version, and a high version, the fact is, if you go in and say, look, you can buy a boiler for 1,500 quid, for 2,500, and for 6,000 quid, by giving them a £6,000 price on that quote, it's not going to put them off. It's going to benchmark, well, that's the best. So if the next one down is 2.5, that's actually pretty good value then, because compared that to the 6,000, you know, people, that's what they mentally do. They mentally look at the 6,000, go, that's expensive. Oh, but that's only 2.5, and it's the next one down. I'll go for that one. Whereas if you only gave them the 1,500 and the 2.5, they'd go, oh, 2.5 seems expensive. I'll go for the 1,500 one, because no one wants to buy the cheapest of anything, really, right? I mean, how many times have you gone into a restaurant, opened the wine menu and gone, give me the cheapest bottle of wine? I mean, some might do, of course, but most of us go, I don't know much about wine. Let's take the next one down. It's not quite the cheapest, but it's the next one up. And it's the same with this, right? If you're going to give them only two prices, they're going to compare those two prices, and that's all the information they've got. As soon as you add a third price in there, they've now got a range of prices to compare, including a much higher one, which benchmarks where they start. And obviously now they're looking at the next two down. And again, you said, like, there'll always be a premium shopper. There'll always be someone that wants to spend more, so you don't leave that off the table. But it also does, like, reconfirm to that person that middle price is actually good value. And I think that is also a powerful psychological point when it comes to pricing.
Jason, I'm in the process of moving, and so I've rang up a few removal. Well, I rang up one removal company. Yes, that'll be £395. All right, I'll tell them I'll think about it. What does that mean? So what I'm now having to go away and do is ring up another removal company and then another removal company. So I've got 3 quotes in total, just to establish whether the initial price of £395 is a good price or not. So for a field service business, to save a customer having to go to your business and 2 of your competitors, why don't you give a customer 3 prices at once, there and then? So that they've got the comparison. It's in front of them. They don't have to ring a competitor to find out what is the going price. You give it to them. You'd say, look, this is the cheap price, this is the middle price, this is the premium price. So from a customer perspective and a shopping perspective, it's just so much more easier. I can just go to one company, get 3 prices, accept a price, and I've made a sale. There's no messing about. There's no wasted time. There's no ringing around. Like I'm going to get a removals company, no matter what. It's going to happen, but it's just who. So and if plumbing and heating businesses or any field service can get that in their head that a customer is going to buy because they want something, you just have to make sure that the customer buys from you. And so it's coming back to letting people buy as opposed to selling to people, and that's a very powerful concept as well, which I do introduce in the book.
What do you think if you were listening to this now and you were a plumbing and heating business owner and you are sort of seeing all these different things that we've talked about and thinking, yeah, actually, there's loads of these in my business I'm not doing. If you could wave a magic wand and, help them implement one of them, what would it be?
I'll definitely offer the 3-tier pricing. I think that's so powerful by offering like a bronze, silver, gold. For a lot of the things which we've just explained just now, like hedging your bets, offering options, not leaving money on the table, and giving people options. People want to have a choice. They don't want to be told this is the price. People want to be able to select what their price is, but in doing so, they know that they're getting a varying degree of service, aftercare service, even the warranty. And even the guarantees, and also maybe what they have to do. I mean, one thing which I teach in the book is to have like a bronze, silver, gold package, but in the middle package, explain to the customer that you will take away the rubbish, like you'll take away the old boiler, you'll dispose of it like environmentally friendly. By having that in the middle package and not in the bronze, the cheap package, if you like, someone might be like, I can't be bothered to go to the tip. So you sort of nudge them to the middle package. Always think of the nudge and the upgrade and the customer journey. If someone wants a cheap price, give them a cheap price. But by the way, I'm not going to get rid of the rubbish. Yeah. So it's giving people like a varying degree of, like I said, service and what they can expect and what you're going to deliver by tweaking the price. But you're also making the customer experience more valid to them because they want a cheap price. You can have a cheap price, but you've got the hassle which comes with it, getting rid of the rubbish. There's loads of different concepts. But ultimately, in answer to your question, offering options. Yeah. Amazing.
Aaron, I've got one more question for you. What does success in the field mean to you?
Okay, the curveball. So success is very personal in my eyes. Obviously, it's an individual thing. I feel that what if I didn't say is I'm obviously not in the field, but I can talk to it. I can talk about it from my business perspective, if you like. I feel that one's business should complement his goals in life. So my goals in life are basically like my personal goals are to be happy, healthy, and spend time with my family. So that's success for me. But in order for my business to be able to deliver that, I do want to be successful in my own right in business, and my aims and goals and what I want to accomplish, if you like, is I want to be the go-to plumbing and heating accountant in England, in the UK. So if anyone's got an issue or any questions about their quotes, any questions about I've got high debtors, what do I do? Like myself and the team will have answers for you. So that's success for me. It's success knowing that people will come to me with a problem and I can fix that problem. It's the whole like pain and then alleviate the pain. So people, I want people to come to me with their financial, tax, whatever business problems, and I'll be able to alleviate that pain with them. And some of the things which I'm actually looking to do is having mentoring sessions. I mean, I do mentoring sessions with my clients anyway. We sit down once a month, once a quarter, and we go through loads of different elements in their business which they need to work on or change, which has all come from my experience of, like I said, working in multi-million-pound businesses, plumbing and heating businesses, but also 20, 30, 40 other plumbing and heating businesses. So I see a lot that goes on in this industry, and by seeing a lot which goes on in the industry, the same problems regurgitate, like crop up, repeat. So I've therefore then got the solutions to help that problem go away. and you'll find that another client's got the same problems or has got growing pains. They don't know when to hire. Should I buy a van or should I lease a van? What software should I use? Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone tends to have the same sort of problems, but at different stages in their life or in their business life cycle. So what I'm gathering as a business and as a team is answers to all these different problems which businesses have. So when they do crop up, I've got you an answer. I've got your back. Do you know what I mean? I can hold your hand and then bang, sort that one out. Let's move on to the next stage of business. Let's help you grow. Let's help you expand. Let's help you develop. Let's go down this avenue. So that's success to me. It's success, basically being the go-to person in the industry.
Aaron, thank you very much for taking the time to do this video with me today. It's been super interesting. As I said, I've spent some time thinking about selling in field service and quotes and proposals and all this sort of stuff for a while now. And I think it's super sort of refreshing to see someone else with such similar ideas, because it inevitably reinforces each other, you know, in knowing that we're all kind of getting to the same place and hopefully improving the industry as a whole.
Brilliant. It's a pleasure being here.
It's good to hear that people like Aaron are pushing the industry forward and focusing more on selling. He has amazing insight into what makes a good quote. And we have a lot in common when it comes to how we see field service businesses improving the way they sell. Whilst we've discussed a whole range of topics today, if you can take one thing away, is that you should be offering more than one option when quoting. Now, there's a lot we didn't cover, so I'd suggest you go and check out his book. I'll put a link in the description below. As ever, you can find us online by searching for Commusoft. And feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.